When we think about appreciation and depreciation, what do you immediately think of? Your house, your car, your investments. We don't think about our relationships as appreciating or depreciating. What I'm here to tell you is there is no neutral. There is no neutral in relationships. In every relationship that you have in this room, with your customers, with your network, your relationships are either growing or dying. I'm sure you can think about a few relationships right now that might not be growing. But if they're not growing, then they're slowly dying because we often think that relationships break. We think that relationships stop because of a conflict or a disagreement. And I'm not saying that some relationships don't die that way, but I'm going to tell you right now, relationships don't break, they drift. That's the reframe I want you to have. Your relationships actually don't break, they drift away. Why do they drift away? Because the gap between communication gets too far apart. That's why relationships break. And what does this drift do? It turns into disconnection. When you let your relationships drift away, drift turns into disconnection. And the problem is we don't see it. We don't see it coming. We feel it, you know something's off, but we don't know what to call it. And the problem is there's a huge cost to this disconnection. You lose an account you never saw coming. Or how about the deal gets stalled? You're following up and following up and following up and following up, and you're getting crickets. You're getting no communication. A very scary one is price becomes your only differentiator. If price becomes your only differentiator, you're losing. You're losing a game you can't win. How many of you have ever had a contract happen where you weren't necessarily the lowest cost to the organization, but they chose you because of the relationship? If we don't keep our relationships intact, price is going to become the differentiator, and that's something that you potentially can't compete with. Decisions are made without you. Everyone's busy but not connected. You're talking but not really communicating. And most importantly for this room, you're potentially part of a team, but you're all working individually. These are the costs of disconnection. The beauty is when we fix the disconnection, when we build the relationships at the deepest level, it makes a difference within your own sales business. It makes a difference within your company. It makes a difference in this organization. So the conversation that we're going to have today is how do we build relationships, but most importantly, build the relationships before we need them? Because what I find is we have a lot of relationships, we have a lot of connections, but we end up waiting until we need something to call on that relationship. If we wait until we need the help, if we wait until we need a referral, it's too late. So this whole conversation we're going to have today is how do we build them before we need them? How do we show up this way every day in our companies?